Oh, no.
Order, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ask the board to amend the agenda this evening to include a payment to Zuber Construction for work at the community center and the Honey Falls Lima Central School for the summer recreation. Making Zuber's payment number 18 and summer rec 19, public comment 20, and adjournment 21.
Second. Oh, you're making, yeah. So moved.
Okay, I'll second. All right, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we'll move on to public comment. If you would please provide your name, address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes or less until we have a chance for everyone to speak. You can speak from your seat. You can speak from the podium, whatever you're most comfortable.
My name is John Fiore. I'm the trustee of Solari Business Solutions. 3 Pond Road. I'm also on and I own the other one at 383 Pond Road, Georgia. I've been corresponding with all of you directly through email over the last several months. As we've been going through the moratorium study on short-term rentals, I've been identifying different items that could be a problem, a threat for the town. It seems as though that is all going to deaf ears. Some of the things, I'm not going to read everything that I have in the email, because I'm assuming that you all received the email and you read through it. But, you know, some of the consequences are impaired property values, which I identified, and I even put some pricing on that. About $16 to $32 million in impaired property value, since all of our other neighboring towns have short-term rental, special use permits, like for-profit events and aspects like that, which have all been inadvertently stricken from the event. Also, what you know, the trust, an enriched trust owns a property. There's a devaluation in the property. That's a federal offense, since there was code in place, and we have a strategic plan all in place that allows for short-term rentals and short-term special use permits for for-profit events, which we had actually received back in 2021. Brent was on the planning board, chairman of the planning board at that time. But I want to really talk to you about is what was the most disturbing action. We just got up here today and we said, I'm a former naval submarine navy of the Oak Hill Golf Tournament, the PGA tournament. Escalation of hostility in this town towards my wife, my family, and our property has gone through the roof. We had some misguided town resident tell my daughter coming into our property that she needs to get the hell out of town, otherwise she's going to kill her, driving by on a motorcycle. Okay, we immediately reported that incident, plus all the other incidents which we've had that we've ignored over the past 2 years. As we've been working through this, and my wife has been trying to build some consensus with you all, to no avail whatsoever, because Karen is the only one that actually took her up and
3 minutes expired.
Thank you very much for advising me on that. But I'm going to finish. All right.
But you're out of order.
I'm out of order. You know, I'm going to finish because I serve this country, and you're going to hear the last.
You're going to abide by the rules of this.
You know what, Sheldon? There's nobody here. There's nobody here. Okay. Who else is going to talk? You want to talk? You want to talk? So who else is going to talk, Sheldon?
It doesn't matter.
Well, it doesn't matter. You know, Sheldon, if you read the memo, if John shared it with you, there's also some things that you're involved in, okay? Which is pretty pathetic as an attorney. You wouldn't even talk to our attorneys, Harder, Seacrest, and Embry, when we outlined some of the problems with the moratorium legislation
That's not true.
and other stuff. Now, you ignored them and you did not advise this committee about anything that they said. And given that they are one of the sponsoring attorneys of the Association of Towns, you should be ashamed. You would not even take advice from your own peers.
That's
Okay.
not true.
We have had our attorneys come up and speak to you and validate a lot of the things that we have said. But this escalation of hostilities has got to stop. Absolutely has to stop. I tried to reach out on the recommendation of the Monroe County deputy, that he said that escalation in hostilities towards a resident usually handled by the town supervisor. He may have some idea. Mr. Moffett would not even talk to him. And I'll quote, you have the quote in my email that I have nothing to discuss with you, Mr. Fiore, because I don't care what's happening to you or your family and the public safety here in the town, because it could happen to any one of you. Not just me, not just my family.
So would you mind editing your unquote? Because you started with quote, and then you repeated what I said in the email, and then you went on without saying my quote was finished. You
Well, why
went out the run-on sentence
Oh, why
of your own opinion.
why don't you tell us what it was, John? What was your?
You're the one who's reading it.
I put it right in the email. I don't have to read the email over and over again. Okay, I'm assuming that you have good enough reading comprehension that you can understand the email.
We're not gonna be.
Oh, this is not about being bullied.
This
This
is
is not about being bullied, Brett.
This is absolutely about being bullied. You're up here
This is
threatening another.
illegal-
telling us that what we're gonna do.
Illegal surveillance that's been sanctioned by the town supervisors, okay, that was documented
All right,
in the
you're-
Monroe
hold it,
County,
hold it. You're out of order.
Deputies.
You're out of order.
Out of
You
order.
have said
Order, Sheldon. This is a public comment.
the public
This
comment
is
is
a public
limited
comment.
to 3 minutes. Your 3 minutes are long overdue. You have sent an email to everyone. Everyone has seen it. I
Okay.
think everyone understands your position. But there are rules of order in a public meeting, in a town board meeting, and you're violating.
He needs to be sanctioned. He can no longer be a town supervisor,
You've made your point.
okay? He has no responsibility, abdicates his responsibility for public safety. And actually is doing illegal surveillance, on sanctioning illegal surveillance with drone
Your
flyovers
time is up.
and
Your
video.
time is up.
Thank you so much, Sheldon, for telling me that my time is up. There's nobody else here.
It
Sheldon.
doesn't
There's
matter.
nobody else here.
There are rules of
Okay.
order that apply to a meeting and your time is up.
You know what? Sheldon, I'm a partner, but like, I understand what the rules of order are and governance. You guys don't go by any governance. You just go by whatever you think. Oh, we're just gonna slip it in the strategic plan. You just slip this in and move this through. That's it.
Time's up.
My time is up. Everything will be forwarded to the district attorney's office, and good luck to you. Because you as board members, if you don't sanction him, you're gonna be complicit in everything that she's.
So we'd like to speak this evening. Public comment? On to communications, Andy.
I attended highway school last month, which was pretty good. The department's completed all of our work that was scheduled in the 284 agreement. So we're in pretty good shape there. We had some drainage problems, which we straightened out. And started work actually today on the 2024 budget. I also noticed that the striping on some of our town roads has started from the county. I had a call today from a lady on Hopper Hills Way, Mendon Farms, where the anvil is. And it's falling apart. So they're asking to have it removed. And I'm not sure if there was any, these two people are asking to have it removed. I remember years ago that there was quite a bit of a discussion on not having it removed. So she has a email chain throughout the neighborhood. I told her I would mention it tonight because I wasn't around at the meetings for the whole Anvil thing, so I don't know if any of you guys remember it. But, I told her maybe to contact everyone in the neighborhood, because it's not our responsibility to repair that, so. I also told her if everyone agrees or a majority agrees that they want it taken out, I would remove it because it's in the right of way and it's a pain in the neck to get around, but I don't know the history of it. So if anyone, the neighborhoods, I guess.
Okay.
So there was a neighborhood association when that track was put in back in the seventies. So we did a little research today, but it's not clear as to who it is.
Oh, okay.
So it may be the towns.
I'm afraid that I don't remember the date, but I do remember that was hit by a vehicle.
It
Yeah, it's
was.
been hit.
And I want to say it wasn't that long ago, but I'm afraid to find out how long ago it was. And there was a big discussion and it was repaired.
Yeah.
We were talking about taking it out.
Right.
at that
Right.
time.
And it was minimized and repaired. The person who did the repairs. It's a volunteer basis. So we were able to determine that it was exactly who owns it, because there was a neighborhood. That association, according to some of the people who lived there since houses were built, has been kind of gone by the wayside. However, if they did contact the state, get it, identified as a homeowners association, if it is theirs, then it's their responsibility. So we'll continue to look at it, but any action that's going to be done by the town, I think the board should approve.
Job on Snowbird Drive.
Yeah, it's
I don't
over
see
there.
it done.
Oh, yeah, no, there's some county stuff. We're working on a new snow and ice agreement, next 5-year contract, along with our all-season agreement, which gives us, it's an agreement for all of us to work together. Advised all the equipment rental rates, so I got all that in, and I think all the towns have, so we're waiting for approval on them, although I've been doing county work on the new rates and no one seems to be saying anything, so I don't know. Unfortunately, one of our county jobs has been pushed back, so I'm not sure how that's gonna end up. It's substantial, a good chunk of revenue loss because of it. But it is what it is. And then also, same with New York State, they've asked me to sit in with them to go over time and materials list or the program to see if we can't minimize it and make it easier. So I'll be meeting with 2 or 3 of the state snow and ice guys to go over that program with them. And that's it.
Thank you. Shall?
Tax service, so it's a little slow, but Bonnie's back, so that's great news. She's been feeling pretty good, I think. And a lot of marriage licenses right now. That's our top seller. Other than that, not much.
You see a lot of people for the officiating.
So I have had one. Yeah, which I was surprised. It's very easy to do, so.
It is.
Yeah. Anybody can marry anybody nowadays. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Move on. Sheldon, Nathan,
I have nothing.
okay, Brent,
Attended the Flag Day ceremony on June 14th with the community. Daughter is the American Revolution. Donated a flag that's flew over the Capitol in honor of Evelyn Orton, Revolutionary War veteran. Village and the town have agreed to share the flag. PBA, or pardon me, the planning board. Been a couple of meetings. They did approve a subdivision and a site plan on Quaker Meeting House Road. Got a site plan coming up on West Bluefield Road for accessory structure in front of the primary structure. And then Echo Center is coming back for to amend their special use permit. That is July 19th, August 2nd. There's another site plan. Planning board's busy, a lot of meetings. Great Park meeting. Have been keeping up to date on those. I'll defer. I'm sure John will have some of this meeting. That business association having a section going to those. They've got the Amendment Social coming up. July 20th. I think everybody here was on that Wait, they've got economic development coming to an August meeting. It's also interest in reviving the Mendon Station Festival. Business Association has had this up, so that's kind of exciting to see that come again. And it's very exciting to see the businesses leading the charge on that. I think so. We'll see where that goes. I think she might be looking in September. Any department, building department, continue meeting with them. We've got some stuff on the agenda later. All through those meetings. Continue meeting with the highway superintendent, supervisor, and deputy highway superintendent. One thing that we did talk about at the last meeting was Stony Lonesome and Clover Road and safety concerns there. And is there anything? One side of the road is down. The county's on the west side. Thinking about maybe safety signs saying, caution, dangerous intersection. Some people that we talked to is, it appears that maybe some of the GPS mapping is sending people that way. It sounds as though there might be some trucks that are going to the factories or Frankway Meeting House that are cutting over that way. So just some things, whatever we can do. Sewer lateral concern at the community center. Thank you very much to the highway department coming out doing some excavation. Fortunately, it was not an easy fix. I'm sure John will fill up later on the agenda about that. Couple of residents. Roads. My recommendation was them, it's a state road and the county road. You got to talk to the state or the county. They said that they do, and they get nowhere. The only thing I can think of is we can join in butting our heads against that wall. I don't know.
Depending on if I knew, depending on the road and where we were, if I had a little extra, I do throw it in there, no matter where it is, because we do agreement to do it. And just because there's residents that do travel these roads, that I don't have to bill everyone just to stop and throw some blacktop in there, but I got to know about it. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not hearing about any of this, so I can't do anything about it.
Should we have them? Should they call the highway department to report them?
If it's a road situation, absolutely, I can.
State highway, county highway, whatever.
We have repaired at times some big state highway problems, call after call after call. I'll definitely sneak out there and do it.
Okay.
I don't make a habit of it, but if it's it's a concern with everyone driving around town and there's been 20 calls about it and I know about it and we're going by, we can
Okay. I will
shove
let
a
them
little
know.
in there.
Contact the highway department to complain or to make their concerns.
And if I know if it's a county road, I can talk to the county manager when I'm with them.
Okay.
And see where the problems are.
And another thing was they had concerns with safety at corner of Mile Square and 251. I agree with them. That it's a safety concern. I think we mentioned it in the conference. Yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with sight distance. I think it has to do with people speeding and not
Reckless
stopping.
driving,
So. And 3913 Brushman Road, formerly known as the Mendon Walk, is moving forward with a wastewater holding system. They've seen they've got stuff dug up there. Hopefully be getting that done soon, and they are looking at some occupancy, which is low water usage, at least on the first floor. That's what I've got.
I attended the HPC meeting. Martha Bush attended the Landmark Society of Western New York Preservation Conference in April in Auburn, and she reported out on a lot of information that she was able to glean. And one of the questions that she had for us was what software is currently being used for the code enforcement group? Does anybody know?
Sure. I mean,
Williamson, because they were talking about different software. Some other things that came up at the meeting, was something that we're gonna talk tonight about the buffer zone. And, Jeff wanted to make sure that we applaud Michelle, that she responded to him while on vacation. And helped him so that we could reschedule our meeting. And he very much appreciated that.
No problem.
One of the things that came out of that meeting that, Martha had attended, or Marcia had attended, is that we should probably look to try to get an architect or a realtor on the board. Because that's helpful. That's one of the things that they had discussed. She also came across a group that has grants to do historic plaques around the area. And there is a plaque being placed within the next week commemorating Lafayette, who visited the hamlet. So it's going to be somewhere in the hamlet. I don't know if you knew about that or not, but
Every day it's been working for a while.
you knew him. And our situation on Taylor Road, the individual has put in new windows and is going to be reapplying for the front entrance. And then finally, Lynn Mentz will probably be resigning because she's moving at the end of July, early August.
My suggestion is if they have someone who meets the criteria of being a realtor and architect who would like to, because there'll be an opening.
Right.
And we'll advertise for it, but they could certainly, if they
Reach
have
out.
somebody to recommend, maybe sometimes they can go out and shake the bushes.
Yeah.
Find somebody that.
Yep, first, hang on, this closed on me. I don't know if any of the others of you happen to see this, but I just wanted to make note of the fact that our highway superintendent, Andrew Pichetta, received Roadmaster Level 2 honor.
Very good.
It was through the New York State LTAP Center for Now Local Roads Program. And it's so. All right, I don't have this memorized. Individuals who strive to build strong foundations in technical and management skills in local highway communities across New York State. Level 2 Roadmasters have successfully completed a series of 10 workshops demonstrating a base of fundamental knowledge in local highway quality and management. And this was started back in 1998, and Andrew Pichetta received. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And next with the library, their outreach levels, efforts are ramping up. They've been to Pinehurst, they're doing, they were going to start doing remote checkouts in Pinehurst. They have a large selection of books for the residents from which to choose. And they have a scheduled book talk. Summer reading program kicked off on June 22nd. They're going to plan to have a pop-up checkout at Festival Falls. They're getting welcome packets out to realtors and rental agencies. And the Friends received a large donation, and so they were purchasing new toys for the kids area, and they will also be purchasing 2 new hotspots for the library. And update their policies. And the next meeting, it was changed to July 31st.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, there's
Okay, so I have a couple of things. First of all, with the community center, all the outside hookup is completed. Kevin will be down there in the next few days, just kind of cleaning up afterwards. Excuse me. I tried to keep low as possible, so I told him just, and then you know, right around the 1st of September, we'll get it graded off nice once everything settles, the grass is down, but grow grass this time of year. I'm gonna be down there watering every day. So wait till September, grow some nice grass, we'll be in good shape. Spray Park, I talked to El Reed today and, to the best of my knowledge, there's been 4 people down there, 9 working days taking the 3 coats off. They thought they'd have about 90% of it off as of 8 o'clock this morning. And they expected to be done taking it off either today or tomorrow. But every time I've been down, there's been 4 guys down there. And they've been down there 9 working days. So I can't imagine how long it takes to take the stuff off, but quite a process. Once it's all removed, Labella's gonna come out and look at it, give it its stamp of approval. At that point, the correct sealer will be put on, has to be completely dry, and then there is a 48-hour cure time before the park can be open. My plan is once we reach all those milestones that we turn it on, let it get wet, go down there before we open it back up to the public and make sure.
Slide around.
That's the part we don't know until all of that is finished, and then put the
Right.
water on it, and then it's a slip and slide again.
Well, I'll tell you what Mr. Reed told me is when I was talking to him and I was like, showing my frustration, he said to me, what do you know about concrete? And I go, well, make sidewalks out of it. And he said, exactly. He says, you're not supposed to know. That's Labella's job. They're supposed to be the experts. They're supposed to be the ones who can tell you this has been done, it's been done right, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why you're, so stay tuned. I was hoping it would be open by now, but frankly,
Yeah.
I don't know. So we'll continue to look at that. When I was down there last, where the holes go up to hold the bucket, they taped off the bottom, but there's still stuff, for lack of a better term, that has gotten up on those red poles beyond where it's taped off. So hopefully they'll be able to remove that. I didn't mess with it because I'm like, I'm not gonna do that, but it probably goes up another good foot to 18 inches beyond where they take.
Could we communicate what you just said, though, to the public that they've been there, just to keep people knowing that we're not.
I just keep hoping that they're gonna, every day they gotta be done. They're down there. I want to give people some good news, I guess.
I know.
That's what I'm trying to.
I know, but I think by just saying we're still, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And, we anticipate the end is in sight.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, but the contractor has said
Oh,
3
right.
times that he's almost done.
Yeah.
I mean, he said before 4th of July.
I
it'll be
know,
done
but
by the end of the day.
9 days, 4 people is,
Yeah.
it would be good.
So they've been there 8 to 10 hours a day.
I couldn't confirm that. I just know that when I've gone down there, which hasn't been every working day, but every day I've gone down there, there's been at least 4 trucks and 4 guys there. Brent, I know you've been down there. I called out this morning, first thing, and just said, we're having a meeting tonight, like a status.
Sure.
And he also got back to me about the veneer on the monuments.
Okay.
And EP Ward says that it's a natural feature of granite, and so does LaBelle. Cracks. I will just say, I've never seen anybody's kitchen counter made out of granite with a natural, they call it vein or something like that going through it. So.
How about the
plaque?
Do we have any update on the plaque?
No, because I have, there's nobody who can fix it.
Right.
Let's put it that way. So that's exhausted. So we've got it, the people who made the plaques are no longer in business. So
Oh,
we've got to go to somebody else who can make that plaque. And if they were going to remove that whole unit and replace it with solid granite, I don't see the point of replacing the plaque at this point. So that's
oh,
All kinds of tentacles throughout this thing. Let's see here. So they asked that we didn't mow the grass because they're taking this off. You know, it apparently comes off like jelly. So hopefully grass collected it. And once they're done taking it off, we'll get it sealed. We'll get the grass mowed. So that because they didn't want a lot of fresh cut grass blowing around here.
I get that.
Stuff on.
One thing, Andy actually mentioned it earlier this meeting too. I noticed the drain is open. They should clean that drain.
We'll have them clean that drain.
Clean that drain, and video it, make sure it's not filled with jelly.
Sure. I reached out to Ryan, chair of the Medford.
We'll see.
Yeah, asked to meet with him, try and get a status update on where the fire district is on any type of reorganization of fire service within the town. And I didn't hear from him, but I did hear from the fire chief. And he said that they're planning some regional meetings on August 2nd with Mendon, Honey Falls, Fishers, and they reached out to some other neighboring communities. So I'll be attending those, see what. Participated in the library story time last week. They got a very nice program there for preschoolers. Let's see. Got the 2024 budget out to all the department heads. That went out last week, so they'll the letter says they'll have it back towards the end of this month, so we can get going on the budget. Got an email from the state regarding restriping Route 64. And I replied to them about 64 south of Mountain Hill.
Yeah.
Between there and Mendonshire. And I said, I want to put it in writing that this has been a problem. This has been a concern. We've voiced our concerns before. You're going to restrict the road to be a double solid and down through there. So
That makes no sense.
remains to be seen.
It's a very dangerous, I mean, we've gotten used to living with it, so we know we have to look both ways 28 times. But there have been a few accidents.
So there's a meeting in West Bloomfield because they're going to start. They're going to start. I don't know where to start. There's somewhere. So that concludes what I have. We'll move on to supervisor's monthly report.
I'll make the motion to acknowledge receipt of the supervisor's monthly report for June 2023.
I'll second.
So as you can see, we're in pretty good shape here. 86% of our 5% has been expensed at this point, and nothing that is to be concerned. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Town clerk's monthly report.
And I was receipt of the clerk's monthly report.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Minutes.
To approve the minutes of the regular town board meeting as presented for June 12th and June 26th.
Second, go ahead.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Budget transfers.
Make a motion to approve the following budget transfers as delineated in our agenda.
And
Second.
okay. Any discussion? Favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we have vouchers.
Make a motion to approve all claims on vouchers number 23-486, 566, on general abstract 2307 in the amount of $245,611.80.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Library vouchers number 23-094 to 23-103 on library abstract 2307 in the amount of $2,912.60 were presented to the town board for payment.
Next is credit release for Mendon Green. There's one, there's two of them, but they're all, that's in the same resolution.
Motion to release the two credit releases as listed in here, once the outstanding engineer's fees are current.
Any discussion?
Sounds like it's. I guess it's pretty much done.
Yeah.
Let's start building homes. So
He, Corey said they, you know, if somebody came in with a building permit, he. Yeah, move. I just don't think there's a builder lined up at this point. So I don't know if I don't know if LaBella's plan is to have, you know, 4 or 5 different builders in there doing 4 or 5 different kind of houses, or whether they're trying to get one builder to build all 35.
it's whatever the fire code is, it's one less.
Yeah.
Than that.
Yeah. It's been, the numbers moved so many times, I can't remember what it is.
Well, that's. I'm sure we'll cross this bridge when we get to the budget part. That's one thing to consider. If there's 4 different builders in there. Construction season next year, that's gonna be a big drain on the building department. and their selections.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, driveway and basketball court ceiling and striping.
Make a mo- to allow the supervisor to receive quotes for driveway sealing and striping for the community center, the Mendon Public Library, including the youth center, and basketball court at Summel Road Park. Second.
So, it was crack filled last year. It's still in pretty good shape, but, you know, it's like. And then there was, you know, at one point in time, you could see that there was some striping on the basketball court. And I know that there was an email that came from somebody recently. I went down there and I looked at the basketball court in, you know, it was in the spring and there was, Kevin went down there, you know, and cleaned it a little bit and got some of the debris swept up. And I remember the email said that it was too rough on one end for kids to even play. My driveway's rougher than that. I mean, not that I play basketball on it, but still, I mean, it's just, I didn't think it was bad at all. But, you know, it looks like there was striping on there at one point in time, and I'm sure if it was striped, you know, it would be more, added to kids would like it.
Mhm.
Down. Shoot fouls, practice shoot foul shots or whatever, 3-point shots, whatever the case may be. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Establishing reserve fund for the library computers.
Motion. Fund for the library computers.
So Lila contacted me and she said that the software and all the other things they have hooked up to the library system, that it's they like to replace all the computers at once. They're all operating under the same operating systems and various things like that. So, excuse me, their plan is to replace them all in 25 or 26. They wanted to have a chance to set aside a little money every year between now and then to replace them. And I checked with the comptroller's office because as a library board of trustees, I didn't know if that was a function of the town board or the library board of trustees to actually set up the reserve fund. And it is a town board function. And it is a specific reserve fund, which means it can only work computers, unless the town board makes some kind of change. Where a type, which is most of our other reserve funds, are more general. Or in other words, there's a building, there's an equipment reserve fund, things like that. They can be used for anything that improves the building, be it the furnace, the roof, the carpeting, whatever. Where this is a specific one just for computers.
And they can't start to save those specifically until we create this line.
Correct. Correct. And so I think what the plan is if they have any extra revenue this year, we can put it in there and they budget to put some in 24. Up in 25. They replace them. Any other discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
We need a motion
Oh,
and a
I'm
second
sorry.
to establish the reserve fund specific in the L fund.
I found.
Oh, I said it.
You made it, and I thought I said first.
Yeah.
So there's two.
No, there's two.
So
Well,
number
I-
13 has two motions. There's one at the beginning and one at the end.
You're correct.
Okay, so to. Pursuant to sections. Read that whole thing.
I-
Or is hereby
No,
established-
you don't have to read the whole thing, but I think what she's saying is that.
So I'll
is
make
that
a motion for
motion
the
to-
first one.
Yep.
Okay, and that got seconded by Brant. Now we
Yep.
need a first and second.
In
On
that
the
second,
specific.
last paragraph there. Yep.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to establish a reserve fund specific. Health fund for acquisition of computer equipment for the Mendon Public Library.
Second that.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great. Amending the agricultural data statement.
Planning, pardon me, to. Slurs.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
This was, planning department, or building department, excuse me. They mentioned that it said, it asked about the slope on there, and they said they could get it from the building department. Which
It's always
really has
caused
to go up.
confusion.
Yeah, it's always just causes confusion.
Yeah.
It's- Do you need? Do you need an E-Pod permit in this ag data statement? We're trying to figure out why the ag data statement
Yeah.
just talks about slopes. So
Yeah. The wording always threw people off.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Next, EPOD number 5, recommendation from Historic Preservation Commission.
Recommendation from the Historic Preservation Commission of the town amended for EPOT number 5, historic site protection overlay.
Um. I'll second it by any questions. Is that okay?
Me too.
I think, but we gotta have the.
We gotta have-
so we can have-
I'll second it.
So, I don't, Karen, do you want, is there anything you want to say before we get started?
Just what Jeff had said that I sent you today. That I wasn't clear that they were making recommendations. I believed what they were doing was sending the maps in both forms so that whatever we decide, they could move forward with the maps. But Jeff sent his right. Yeah,
Are you looking at,
it's not full enough.
are you?
This?
I mean,
Yeah. No, what he sent.
Oh, I didn't get anything from him. I only got something.
No, I sent it. He said only the HPC designated properties in which the restrictions and protections of that property are specified in a document filed with and certified by Monroe County and attached to that property's deed are legally afforded the 500 feet protection buffer. Any other historic amended properties, no matter how highly esteemed by state and national registers, have no such protection as the local HPC register. It seems counterintuitive, but has been reinforced several times recently by our New York State SHPO rep, Virginia Bartos. The best protections occur at the local level. Virginia Bartos.
This has been a discussion for a couple of years that, and I'm not trying to say one side is right, one side is wrong, but I've heard from the HPC that it's only the local designations have that 500-foot buffer. You have to have a local designation. And then I heard from attorneys and code enforcement officers that chapter 138, the EPOD 5, designates those sites locally, and that's what gives it the 500-foot protection. So according to 138, all of these sites that are listed have 500-foot protection, and that map doesn't have 500% protection. So we gotta rectify this discrepancy either way. And if it's rectifying it through the code, we've got to propose a different code and have a public hearing. That's where I'm at. You know, one way or the other. I know that, and I'm not saying, you know, say, well, that's the way we've always done it. It doesn't mean that it's right. But we've had many that were the Dan Indian site. You know, there was within 500 foot, and there was protections that were implemented on that. According to this map, you know, that buffer is gone. So I don't know, you know, the next home that comes up in that site, is there a protection? That's something we have to discuss, and I would like to hear from the public.
I feel like the map only addresses one, section 115 of our code. Doesn't really take into 138. Because when I look at that map, to me, it's confusing. And I'll tell you why it's confusing. But I can look at it over here, because it says here, state and national registers and Mendon HPC designated 500-foot buffer required. Okay, that's the triangle, kind of a reddish triangle with a blue circle around it. Then it says state national register only, no blue around it. But if you read our code at 138, it says that anything that's this, the 500-foot buffer applies to. So, in my opinion, that's not consistent with our code, that map. But, or like Brent says, or you change our code to make a code consistent with the map. But I'm for more protection, not less protection. And all the HPC is doing is giving a recommendation to the planning board. The planning board doesn't have to accept their
Right.
recommendation or anything. But once something's built, it's hard to unbuild.
Right.
That's why I say I'm for more protection. I'd rather see all those ones with just the red triangle without the blue going around it. And there's several of them on there. And of course, in the future, there could be more. That should be designated to me as having that 500-foot buffer, in my opinion, because there again, I think it's important that we follow the code. To me, the map should follow the code, not vice versa.
Yes, this is the new map that the
This is the
HPC has
proposed.
worked on, the proposed map.
It's gotta be done.
But we've got to have that discussion.
It's not done yet. I mean, this was the,
This
this
is the
is the
draft,
mock-up.
right?
Right.
This is not the,
And one other thing, I went through, one thing that jumped out at me is the AQ Heritage Farm. Because I didn't remember seeing it on the last HPC map, which is here. So I went through here and counted this up and I came up with 50 inputs, and on here we've got 55. So it seems as though there's been 5 more sites that were added. And I'm trying to figure out when they were added, why they were added, and
well, the last map wasn't correct. From what the HPC folks were saying, it was not, the historian said several things were left off.
okay.
And
Well,
that's why they are redoing it.
oh, okay. Well, I'm wondering which ones those are,
Yeah.
so I know and why, we'll never know why it was left off,
Mhm.
but just know which ones are. And I also have a question that's, give me, I printed this off. Oh, HPC recognized farm. I went through 138 and 159 and I can't find any recognition that talks about a farm. So I'm not sure what that means. Does that mean that farm has protections? Or does it mean that it's a recognized farm? I guess I don't get what that means.
Yeah, I honestly don't.
Then I think that's important, right? Because if you're saying the
Maybe
farm,
we
that's
should
the
have,
entire land mass, which could be hundreds of acres for a farmer in Mendon. And if you're within 500 feet of that, you could be miles down the road from their house.
Well, that's the Bayview Heritage Farm.
Yeah.
Right.
He's,
maybe we should have Jeff come and answer some of those questions.
Sure.
And I think, they have gone to the state and the national registers to try to understand all this. Plus, many of these things were listed by the current owners. And that's not the way you do it historically. It's whoever it was designated, it was a different name.
okay.
But you'll see there are different names on things. Because
Yeah, that
People
was
were
throwing
just
me for a loop.
updating who owns it now, and that's not
Okay.
the Smith home, it's the,
Yeah, I was looking for the Barben Farm and I
Right.
couldn't find it. It's now the same Miller Farm.
right,
So
'cause that was the original.
okay.
What's the original?
So that was their biggest concern, is that all of this has gotten taken way out of the,
Okay, and I'm
so
all for
maybe
getting
we
all those
invite him
details.
to come to the next meeting and answer the question.
Sure, we could get together with them offline, just maybe just sit down with him downstairs someday if he's free. Might help with, obviously there can't be 3 of us there, but 2 I think would be good to, because I want to hear what he's, maybe I'm misunderstanding.
Well, he wanted us to discuss what was presented.
Okay.
That was what my understanding was.
Okay.
He wanted us to discuss so that they could continue to move forward because they're at a standstill.
Sure.
And so that would be.
Because, anything that's on there has to be designated by somebody, either state or the federal or the town, and so I think it's important to make sure that we have that, back it up, so if we're challenged, we can say, well, it's on the state registry. Well, who says it's on the state registry?
Right.
That leads into another question I have. We have a series of things on here that are undesignated. If it's according to, if I could be reading this wrong, I'm not a lawyer, but according to 138, it's saying if it's listed as protected. So if it's listed on here, does that mean that's protected even though it's undesignated? You know what I'm saying? It's I'm overthinking it. That's what I do. I'm an overthinker. But I'd like to,
But that's an
Get it
important
cleared
point,
up.
because that's gonna come up sooner or later, that
It is-
question's
it
gonna
is
come up
right.
when somebody tries to subdivide a lot, and they're gonna go, well, wait a minute. It's on this list. Does it have protection or doesn't have a protection?
Right.
So if it's. Maybe it should have a protection is what we're maybe thinking.
Well, it's that, I'm reading 138 says if it's listed, it's protection. But then 159 talks about it being designated.
Well. Yeah, so. The two things are different.
The
I
wording's
think it
different
could
The
be,
wording is
in
different.
the code, yes.
yes.
So, I mean, that may be something we need to change
Right.
internally.
Mhm.
And if so,
Yeah,
we can make it consistent.
yeah, I see we have historic hamlets on here too, so I just want to make sure that I understand, is it? It's an important part of our hamlet heritage. We've had a lot of hamlets in the past, but now are those areas protected? Or are they not? Or we just recognize that we had Rochester Junction back in the day?
Yeah, because I mean, and plus when they talk about hamlets, do they have them?
They are listed now.
But I mean,
They're the squares.
when you talk about Sibleyville, for instance, 9 out of 10 people who live in the town of Mendon don't have a clue where that is. They know where Sibley Road is. They don't know where Sibleyville is, which is a hamlet. And what are the parameters of Sibleyville? That's what I'm trying.
Yes, because there's no outlets.
There hasn't been a business there in probably 30 years. You're not saying that. It's basically the corner of Phelps Road and 15A.
Oh, okay.
But I think this is good discussion and this is.
Well, they're
having
trying
the
to
map,
get it
yeah.
right is
Yeah.
the whole, and they put a lot of work.
Yeah.
The numbers and this and that designation, it's much easier.
Yeah,
for me
they
to-
want to get it right.
Oh, it's much easier than the original map for me. Wow.
It is.
Yeah.
So.
I would suggest, I'd suggest we table it, but I would suggest we meet Jeff outside of a meeting first. Just maybe we can clear up some of these misconceptions and then the next meeting, maybe we can. If we need to make some changes or whatever, they need to make some changes, we can expedite this. So Sheldon, we've got a motion and a second. Do we need, what's the best way to proceed?
Well, you can just have a motion to
Just
table.
table it? Okay. Do we need a motion to table?
Yes,
I motion the table.
And I'll second.
Okay.
I
And
need
vote,
to vote on that.
vote on the table.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next we have authorization for excess highway equipment to auction.
I make a motion to take to auction the following highway equipment in excess. 2010 Volvo VHD dump truck and a 1997 Rogers equipment trailer.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Next is short-term rental application standards and inspection forms.
Make a motion. Through the following regarding the implementation of the short-term rental. Standards.
Any discussion? Obviously, because we have a new law which requires a form, we have to have the form. So,
Do we have a recommended fee yet or not yet? You're not the first time application.
I don't think I ever saw it.
Soft bid.
well, we should decide tonight because there's somebody in the bullpen waiting for this.
I think, the one that we had started with was very similar to a special use permit. The procedure is $250. There is a public hearing involved, which is $100. And then there is, as a part of this application, the applicant will go through and check off the standards, saying they meet the standards, they don't meet the standards. And then the code enforcement officer goes before they come before this meeting to make sure that the standards aren't met. So that's another inspection. So that's $75 to $100.
That's for every time somebody wants to do a short-term rental.
For, it doesn't have to be every time, but for the first time,
Okay.
to make sure that the code is, they're saying that they're meeting all codes. We want to make sure before they come before us on the ducks are in a row.
What was the 100 for?
The first 100 was for a public hearing. The second 100 is for the CEO inspection.
And as I recall, Brent, that's good for a year, correct? Is
It,
that what we had
a
there?
year, up to 2 years. I think it was a year for the first one. And then they do 2 years for the second. one.
2-year
2 years.
renewal.
What is that?
$450.
400,
Same as a public hearing or a planning board.
which is
application.
variances, use variances 500.
Right around there, yep.
100 for the public hearing.
250 plus 100 plus 75 to 100 plus 100.
But I'm sorry, plus 100. The 75 to 100 is
Oh, okay.
because that way a reinspection fee is $25.
Okay.
So so try to set this up to, so there is, while the engineer's fees are reserved to send to the engineer if they so need it, this does not have to go to the engineer. So that's $700.
And it's a renewal for application fee or not? Did I miss that while I was writing?
The renew there, we did not talk about a renewal fee. Sorry, we had only talked about the initial fee. A renewal would need to be another public hearing.
I don't think you'd have to go through the whole other stuff. So
I
it'd just
think you
be the
could reserve
100.
the right, but it's really a public hearing.
Yeah.
You gotta reserve the right for an inspection if needed. Right, well, it's gonna be a fire, oh, that's fire inspection is different, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What do you think? $100 for the public hearing on a renewal? That's sufficient. Because if we get it wrong, all we do is change it next year.
And valid for 2 years, you said.
On renewal can be valid for 1 year or 2 years.
And the first one was 2.
This is where we're stuck with this, because we've been talking about having them come in on January and then that right out throughout the year.
Okay.
Then if somebody comes in November, how long is their permit good for?
Right.
Right,
So you don't want them to come back in 2 months.
no,
I think the first one's good for a year, then you can have a public hearing after a year, find out if there's any concerns and you can have that out beforehand. Then it can go to upwards of 2 years.
100 for renewal and the reinspection down that other, down at the bottom.
Oh, that's
It said
$25
25.
for reinspection.
So should we start over again?
Just start over.
It's probably gonna be easy to start over.
Yeah.
There's 2 ways to do it.
I
The
want
other
to
way,
do this correctly.
yeah, why don't you just start over?
Do you want to rescind your,
I'll rescind.
and who seconded?
I
Send
think I do.
Yep.
I'll never see my phone.
So Brent, you want to start over?
Make a motion to approve the following forms regarding the implementation of the region short-term rental law application with a first-time application fee of $450, a renewal fee of $100, and a reinspection fee of $20. The standards form.
Second.
Any other discussion? Favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
That's
Okay, I'm sorry. Back to public comment. Oh, no, we got our new item. Sorry.
at 18.
Page 18 is the construction for the sewer line at the community center, which is $2,945, which
moved.
should be paid from. Should have done that before I got there. A 1620.412.
24 point.
1620.412 is for community center. Favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? The next one is the summer rec. B 7320.4. 20.4. $17,670.
So moved.
So there were two campers who qualified under the free lunch program. Karen, I know this was a concern of yours.
Mhm.
And so we subsidized 75% of their fee, which was equaled $675, which was a grand total of $1,350, which brings us to $17,670 and budget $19,000. So we're any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Back to public comment. Seeing none, is there a motion for adjournment?
Mhm.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.